Hey guys, so I realized that I haven't filmed a book-related video since July. Literally since July. Not since I did the booktube-a-thon, and that is just way too long to not talk about books. So I'm here today to do a tag that I found that looked pretty fun. It was created by Ryan Reed's Books, and it's called the Book Burger tag. So basically you just create a burger out of books, and I think it's really fun, and so I thought I'd do it today for you guys. Okay, so first it says we need the bottom bun. Choose the first book in a series you loved. Now I really don't ever read series, but this one was pretty good because I picked Midnighters, The Secret Hour by Scott Westerfeld. I haven't read this in a number of years, but it's been hanging around on my shelf and I think I might do a reread. I just really was so intrigued by this story. It's basically about these kids who at midnight everything freezes except them and this secret world that they're allowed to explore for an hour every night. I think Scott Westerfeld comes up with some fantastic plots and characters, and I just love pretty much everything that I've read by him. So this is my bottom bun. Now we need the burger meat. Choose a meaty, thick book that you've read and enjoyed. So I thought, why not go the full hog and pick the longest book I've ever read? So that is, of course, Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, unabridged, of course. I read this last summer before I went and saw the movie. I hadn't seen the movie or the musical or anything like that when I read it. And while it was a massive slog to get through some of the French history, I think the characters and the story are just so timeless and lovely. You really become completely invested in their lives after this amount of reading. And I thoroughly enjoyed reading this. I don't regret any of the 2 months I spent reading it. And for any of you that are interested, this edition sits at a lovely 1,194 pages, not including notes. Next we add a thin slice of cheese and lettuce. Choose 2 thin books, one you read and enjoyed and one you want to read but haven't yet. So this is a little bit difficult because I really love reading thin books. I think they're very interesting. I love novellas, but I decided on not necessarily a novel but a play. So this is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee. I think this is probably one of his most well-known plays, and it happens to be one of my favorite plays of all time. I absolutely adored it. If you like Patrick White, if you like just reading about normal people doing ridiculous things and hating each other in a marriage, this is a very interesting book to read and I absolutely loved it. So this is my cheese. Then for my lettuce, this is Lazarillo de Tormes. This is a Salamancan folktale from Spain that I picked up when I was over there in April last year and I still haven't read it. Surprise, surprise, because it's written in Spanish, and my Spanish is just horrible. So even though this is the thinnest book you've ever seen in your life, it's such a struggle to get through, and hopefully one day I will force myself to sit down and read it. Time for a nicely sliced tomato. Choose an average-sized book you loved or one you hated. So I decided to go with one I loved because I don't tend to keep the books that I hated, but I went for The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I had to read this for a class last semester and everyone told me it was a fantastic book, but I'd never actually heard of it. And it really is just such a beautiful, beautiful story. It follows the lives of 2 twins growing up in India and the horrible tragedies that they face in their family, in their lives, and the effect that it has on them with each other and individually. This book is heartbreaking and heartwarming, and you will cry, but you will end up laughing, and it's just a fantastic story. I absolutely love it. So this is my tomato. Now you add a sauce that you've never tried before and you don't know if you'll love it or hate it. Choose a book that you thought you'd love but hated, or a book you thought you'd hate but loved. So I went for a book that was pretty disappointing when I read it. That was Ernest Hemingway's A Moveable Feast. Everyone knows who Ernest Hemingway is, and I was just really excited to read something finally by him. This was the first book I'd ever read by him, and I was just pretty disappointed. It's so self-indulgent. It's basically just him talking about being awesome and a writer in Paris, and I should have known when I picked it up that that's what it was gonna be, but I was just a little bit disappointed. It hasn't put me off trying any of his other works, but I wish I had loved it. And finally, we need to add the top bun to complete our burger. Choose the last book in a series you are dreading the release of or were dreading the release of because you didn't want the series to end. This is easily the hardest question on this tag for me to do because I never read series, pretty much ever. I don't like to invest my time in them. Most series are young adult or sci-fi fantasy, and I don't really read any of those genres, so I read so many standalones that this question's really quite difficult. So instead of making it a series I was dreading, I decided to pick a standalone that I am kind of dreading reading. So for that, I picked Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Now really, I am very excited to read this book, and I've wanted to read it for a really long time, hence I bought it. But over the years, it's just been built up so high, and everyone has been waiting for me to read it so I can finally talk to them about it, that I'm kind of a little bit intimidated and a little bit hesitant to pick it up. It's kind of a thick book, and it is about war, and I tend not to like books like that. But eventually I will probably drag myself into reading it and maybe I'll end up loving it. But at the moment I'm kind of dreading it. So that's my book burger. I'll show you what the stack looks like. It's pretty vintage red spine heavy, but I think that's okay. So I just wanted to thank Ryan for doing this tag and also you guys for watching. I had a lot of fun. I really like talking about books on this channel and hope you guys enjoy it as well. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.